we got Kuzo here from California.
Yes, how
Yes.
we doing, people?
And we're gonna be having a little interview here with Trio. Not all
Yes,
at the same time because they're so
yeah,
separated. We gotta do it in sections. But
yeah.
since Kuzo's here, I'm gonna hit him up with the first questions. Jesse, I
Sure,
got
go
you
right
ready.
ahead. No problem.
Kuzo, okay. I know you guys started playing when you were kids, right?
And 14, 15, and 16.
Right. And were were you ever or did you ever take any music classes? Like
Uh,
notation, all of that.
yeah. No, to be very honest, I even believe even for Jesse, we're basically self-taught. Self-taught. None of us ever went to school of music. None of us ever been trained by anybody. We might have had a lesson here or there, but I think that our interest was more, our desire was to play more than what they were teaching us. So we would just study, practice by ourselves the music that we would hear.
Yeah.
And you're primarily only played, I mean, back in dumb days. I'm not talking about now.
Right,
Back in dumb
right.
days, you only primarily played I want to say strict Pentecostal Spanish music. There was no variation to
Right.
contemporary stuff like now.
When I first started, I was born and raised Catholic. So my parents didn't come to the Lord till I was like 10 or 11. And me personally, I started as a violinist. And
Oh, I didn't know you played violin.
yeah, yeah. At that time, yeah, I played violin. I was being taught as that's the only time I was being really taught in the New York school program before, because I was born and raised in New York. In the New York school program, if they saw some talent in you, they would put you in a music class, but you didn't have no instrument. We didn't have that kind of money to be able to buy an
You
instrument and
used
stuff like that.
the
The
school's
Right.
school's
instrument.
instrument, right?
Right,
And
right.
exactly. So we ended up using that, and then it stopped once the school lost the music program. But I
Yeah.
continued myself since they took the violin. Then I jumped into drums, and then I started playing drums. And then there, when my dad got converted, was when I started playing in the church. And you didn't need to know much.
So you
You
were
didn't
originally a
need to
drum
know much.
player? You were really a
Yeah,
drum
and
Yeah.
I
player?
played drums also. I started as a drummer in the church first before I even played guitar. I was a drummer. I did
Oh,
violin,
wow.
drums, and
Okay.
then afterwards, I saw that guitar. To be very honest, to me, guitar players always had more fun because now you were more involved with the singer and stuff like that. And then growing up, like around 13 and 14, if you knew how to play a little bit of guitar in the church, all other churches would invite you to play guitar at their church.
Ah,
So I started doing that.
I
Started
see.
doing, and that's
Okay.
right. But yeah, but
Is
it
it
was basically
besides
more.
besides guitar, drums, and violin, is there any other instrument you know how to play?
I played the basic bass, like a guitarist would play bass. Just basically that. I did dabble in piano, but I wish I would have stood on it because I would have been good at it because I had started early when I was like 15 for practicing, but I didn't stay to it. Once I got into the acoustic guitar and I saw that that was something that a lot of people liked, I really just stuck to just playing guitar.
Great. Okay. Since I have you, and I only have you for a
Uh-huh.
short period of time, I'm hitting you
No
with all
problem.
the questions. The other guys are
No,
gonna
go
get
right ahead.
the other guys are gonna get similar questions, but later on. So I
That's
want to
fine.
ask you this. I know you guys play as a trio, right?
All right.
Um, what made you think of trio formation of a band? Because you could have just have a band. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like you could have just
Right.
have,
Right.
any type, whatever name you wanted to give the band. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But what made you think trio?
I think when we actually, to be very honest, when we first started, man, we're talking years ago. Orlando used to sing with us, okay, and then
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm gonna get him later. Okay,
yeah,
okay.
Orlando has started, but then when it came more to the trio sound, for me, Jesse and Freddie, like the vocals worked. Well, but I'm talking about 14, 15, and 16.
Right.
You got to remember, we all started doing prison ministry. Our parents were chaplains. So the starting of it was we met and as our parents met first in prison when they were ministering, and then we used to go do prison ministry also, especially myself. I did a lot of prison ministry in New York and Fulton and Sing Sing. I did Attica. I did a lot of the prisons in New York. I did a lot of full-time
Right.
prison ministry in New York. And then in that, but when the trio started doing it together, it just the three vocals were just
You
better.
even went
It
to the
sounded
prisons
better.
upstate, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. I did Attica and Sing Sing.
Mhm.
And the one that we met at was Walpole in Massachusetts, which is the most popular one
Right.
in
Right.
Massachusetts. A lot of the big bad people have been there.
Uh-huh.
I never forget it because in Attica, when I went to go to minister there, they had 25 armed guards inside the sanctuary because that's how bad Attica was at that time.
In my youth, I did something similar. Not as long as you guys, but I went with
Yeah.
my church, my mother's church, I should say,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
to play in a prison, and they searched
Right.
the heck out of the instruments.
Oh yeah. Oh.
I mean,
Yes,
they were like searching it. They had
I actually-
dogs smelling. There was like,
Oh
you know,
yeah.
the drummer had the worst part because he had all these, the drum cases.
Right.
So they
Yeah.
figured something's got to be in there, and they searched
Yeah.
the crap
Yeah.
out of the
And
drums.
yeah. Yeah. And Attica, that is so strict. But and remember, this is the 70s. So remember, in the 70s, they also had that big attack in Attica where the prison
Right.
guards,
The riots and all that.
the riots. So
Yeah.
we're coming after that. So when I did that, I ended up getting when to go in, I had to be strip searched. That's how bad it was.
Wow, that's bad.
Well, again, understood. Understanding,
Yeah.
understanding the situation.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, one of the things that we learned was that even as a young age, that wherever God gives you the opportunity to minister with the talents He's giving you, do it.
Have you
I
ever run
really
into somebody from those days that was in prison, maybe out now, and say, "Oh, I remember you guys. You came when I was."
Yes, actually, in Marlborough, Massachusetts, the trio went to sing at a conference.
Uh-huh.
And when they introduced this white guy came up to us after the service, and he says, "You guys are not gonna remember me because you guys were young kids when you showed up, but you guys sang at Walpole Prison, and I came to the Lord after you guys ministered there with your parents,
Wow.
and I'm still serving the Lord." And we're talking like 30 years later.
Wow,
He did
that's
his
a heck
full
of a
term there,
testimony right
and
there.
30 years later, we ended up meeting him at a conference in Marlborough, Massachusetts, from Walpole Prison.
Wow. Okay, so you formed this group. You decided because of the harmonies of the voices, let's do trio, right?
Right.
When you develop songs, I know you're at that time probably you were singing some of the old songs that your parents or whoever in church showed you, right?
Yeah.
But how did you develop your own? Because you guys have a distinct style. You may be singing trio, but you have a distinct style. So how did that come in development? Was it like, did one of you push for that, or was it a combination of things? Like, I know it's a difficult question to ask, but since I got you for a few minutes, go ahead.
I can tell you exactly how. You're gonna lie. Okay, you grew up in church, but we started hearing. You gotta understand, when you love music, and that's what people in church don't understand. What we do, we love doing it, and that's what's so important. You gotta love doing it. And since we were kids, we've always had big influences in music. But again, not only gospel. We did hear secular music, and for me and Freddie, we always liked the Bee Gees. And for Jesse and Orlando, they always like Earth, Wind, and Fire. So that always used to be the argument. Okay. So and then
which is better,
the
Bee Gees or Earth, Wind, and Fire? Okay.
So to us, Jesse and Orlando goes, "Oh, you can't beat their sound. They're very talented." Yeah, but the Bee Gees are richer because they have very popular songs. And they were. I just remember. They were richer because they had done Saturday Night Fever. And when you follow music the way we do, because we follow music hard, people don't understand that when you love doing what music, you love doing it. And music is around you 24 hours a day.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. That was back then.
we would combine the vocal. We would say, okay, how can we sound like this? How can we sound like that? And I think that experience brought our unique sound into creation. And then Trio will hear it and goes, that's not typical Trio. I go, and it wasn't, because we decided to really upgrade our sound and just vocally. Yeah.
Got you. So let me ask this then.
Sure.
What do you listen to now?
Oh,
years later?
Oh,
what inspires you guys? It's been how many years since you've had the band? You said you're doing a, which I'm gonna talk about a little later with the rest of the guys. You guys are doing a 25-year anniversary album. You middle recording of that. Okay, it's been 25 years plus whatever years of you guys, because you were playing before the Trio together though.
Yeah,
right.
Okay.
So
we started as a trio. Then I moved with my dad to New Jersey. Freddie stood with Jesse's family while he went to college in Massachusetts. He became part of the Gonzalez family, the Gonzalez brothers. And then in 1996, what we had in 77, we just did a sample and sang 1 or 2 songs at a concert of the Trio stuff we used to do then. And then people started saying, "Oh, where you guys got those CDs? We want to hear a lot of that. That really sounds good."
Right.
And then that gave Freddie and Jesse the idea, why don't we make a Trio CD?
Gotcha.
And then that spawned everything once we did that 1 CD.
Okay, so come now, 25 years later, you guys are doing an anniversary album. Right. What is your inspiration besides what happened before? Because I know that's part of the inspiration.
Yeah, of course.
But
of course.
What new stuff? What new stuff are you listening to?
And then my dad for us started saying like, wow, the Lord has spoken to my dad that you got sons that are the Lord. A prophecy came to me and Freddie when we were like 15 and 16, and the Lord told us to someone, you guys will be traveling the world singing music, and while you're singing, people will be healed, come to the Lord, liberated, freed. And of course, when you're 15 and 16, somebody prophesies that to you, you're like, oh, okay, no problem, but you don't expect that.
Right.
And that didn't happen till many years later when the Trio formulated. I'm talking maybe 20 years later after that.
Wow.
And one of the things we learn is that God's prophecies and promises are true. No matter, there's no limit to God's promises.
May not be in our timing.
It's his timing.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's one of the things we want to let people know, that regardless of even what you go through as a young kid and what things happen, when there's a promise for your life and there's a purpose, God will bring it to fruition. What you always need to learn is, one of the things I can say about me, Freddie, Jesse, and Orlando, and Alex is that we've all gone through our stuff, but we've never left the Lord. You've gone through your difficulties. I mean, I'm the type of Christian, I don't believe in sugarcoating nothing.
Right.
Because the Christian lifestyle, or the lifestyle of following Christ, is not an easy one. It's a difficult one, but the rewards are just beyond imaginable, because you have the grace of God, the forgiveness of God, the healing of God in your life, the purpose that God has for you. So there's so much blessing in those times of difficulty that it gets you over the hump.
And you're currently pastoring in California?
I'm not. No, my wife and I are worship leaders at my friend's house in Whittier, California. But we do run the young adults ministry, and we oversee the children's, the youth, and also the media and everything that's been happening, especially with all the changes that have come because of COVID. We oversee all of that, and we're I'm part of the leadership of my church here in Whittier, California. And in reference to the influence, of course, then I never believe that you should limit yourself to just one style, one thing. I always believe that the talents that God give you, you have to work them, and you have to bring it to the level that God wants you to be at. And that doesn't happen until you get to practicing and all of that. And just to give you an idea, I was born and raised in New York. I worked downtown at the Lincoln Building when I was a teenager for for an advertising company. I also worked in New York for a European furnishing company and 61st and First, between First and York, Stendick Furniture. But growing up in New York, the biggest thing you always desire was, you will pass by Madison Square Garden and you see all the people that perform there, and to you it's a dream to do that. And for the trio, that dream came true. The trio did perform at Madison Square Garden, and just to see the legendary people that have been there showed me that doesn't make a difference how famous or how popular someone is. When God's promises are in your life, He's going to take you to places you never thought you'd actually get to.
Wow, that's a beautiful testament to what God can do with just a bunch of Spanish guys.
Yeah, no, honestly, I mean, no. It was funny because people go, "How do you make it a Radio City Music Hall? Practice, 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 practice."
Hey, hold on, guys. Hey, Jesse here. I just want to tell Baz that Cuso is the greatest storyteller of our trio. This guy remembers so many details about all these different trips. He remembers things like, like somebody was wearing a red hat in a movie. He remembers things like that. He remembers things that happened in Guatemala. He remembers things that happened in Venezuela, Aruba. I was telling Vas earlier today, Cuso, when we played Venezuela and we went in and that band was playing one of my songs. You remember when we walked in? They were playing. That was just.
Did they know it was you when you walked in?
No, of course not. Go ahead, Jay.
No, I was just going to say that Cuso was telling us a story that was so funny that he felt he was going to get hypothermia because he was in this cold water in Venezuela, right? They had taken us up the
Wait a minute, I
hills.
think I heard this story. This had something to do with little eels going around his ankles or something?
Right. Yeah.
Go ahead, tell us the story.
You gotta get to the gist of the story.
Yeah.
When you first do what we do, you never expect to travel or go beyond your local area. So that's what I want to, people that see this, what I want them to learn is that when you submit yourself to God's purpose in your life, He's going to take you to places and you're going to experience beautiful things that are out there, people, locations, countries, cities, that you're like, wow, the world is big. It ain't just New York. It ain't Massachusetts. It ain't just California. You got to remember, the trio has traveled to 47 states and 7 countries. Our music is literally almost worldwide. We just got an invitation to the Netherlands and Sweden that I could not believe they actually knew who the trio was. And our music at one time was in the top 10 rotation on a Spanish station in Germany. It's just stuff that you hear that you don't understand. But that's what God does. He takes it beyond. He takes your talents and your blessings beyond where you ever think you could go. So we get to go. We get to Venezuela. First of all, what ended up happening was that the person that was in charge of us, his wife broke her arm or broke her leg. And he ended up having to pass us on to a local pastor to host us. Okay. So, when I go, I'm thinking we're staying at a hotel. I'm thinking we're staying, in arrangements that were already made. So what ended up happening was that we ended up staying at the pastor's house, which again, okay, we're not trying to say we have to have this 4-star, 3. We were fine, but you got to understand, in the trio, there's several snorers, guys that snore at night, and it sounds like JetBlue taking off at Kennedy Airport when they snore. Okay. Okay. So imagine now.
It's okay. Jesse stood in my house, and I know about the snoring. It's all right. Don't worry.
I wasn't gonna say nothing. I was gonna say me, Freddie, and Jesse stood in the same room. One of us is a snorer. I'm just gonna eliminate myself. But you already let the cat out of the bag or out of the hatch. So anyway, we get there, and when I see the accommodations, I always believe that God always allows you to do things to teach you a lesson. And sometimes, we need to be humble. We need to be humble.
So
And
what was the accommodations? They put you in bunk beds in the kids' room or something?
No, they put us in. First of all, you barely could walk through the room because the 3 beds was in a very small room. And I saw the bed in front of the window, and I saw that there was a breeze coming in through the window. Now remember, we're staying in a house, a simple house in Venezuela at a pastor's house that the roof was zinc. You know what zinc is?
Yeah, the metal.
The metal. Okay. So, and then no air conditioning, and then to top it off, my bed is in front of the window. So I saw that a breeze was coming through the window. I said, "That's my bed. Anyone touches it, they die." That's what I said when I walked in. And Freddie and Jesse go, "Well, you know how Cuso is. Let him get the bed." So that day, the pastor, seeing, we try to, when you get into these situations, you try to keep the reaction as minimal as possible. But it was very hard to not, react. So the pastor had heard that I love coffee. So he goes, "Hey, you know what, guys? We're going to go to a coffee place, a cafe, and we're going to go get some coffee." So we drop our stuff at the bed, and we ended up going with the pastor. While we're going to get coffee, for some forsaken reason, a massive rainstorm came by.
Oh, no.
Raining cats and dogs. Okay? We get back to the house. Now, if you can imagine, the bed in front of the window got the gist of the rain.
So it's completely soaked.
It was soaked 3/4 of it. There was maybe that little bit of a space where you could sleep in the fetus position, and that was dry. So when I looked at that, Jesse and Freddie looked at me and said, we didn't say it in front of the pastor. They already had left the room. So Freddie and Jesse looked at me, well, that's the bed you picked. And this is what they said, estilo boricua, etrújetala en el pecho. Okay, that's what they said. They didn't say like your brother Christ, enjoy, let me help you out, maybe we can share, let's do what we can do. They go, etrújetala en el pecho. That's what you want, that's what you got. So if you can imagine, I'm sleeping on this bed for 5 days, 7 days. We were there for 9 days. On the side, in the fetus position on my side. So and then that's the first day.
Did that affect your playing, by the way?
That was no. That was just the first day. Many other stories.
First day.
We can leave other stories for the other day.
Right. That's the first night. Just getting there.
Yeah.
And that took 3 hours.
The next day was the bath experience, which we could talk about it some other time. We don't have to do it now. But you know what? There's been so many things. One of the things that happened, we played. Cuso, remember we played for the Army? We did the.
That was in North Carolina.
That was incredible, man.
Yeah, and then also in Venezuela we did Plaza de Toros, which is an amazing plaza that so many people showed up and they couldn't get in. They started climbing on the fence and hanging from the top of the fence to try to even see the concert. It was something that we had never seen anything. They said they had never seen anything like that.
Has there ever been a time that you guys have gone to a place and didn't want to sing?
No,
Well, let me. I'll be very honest with you.
You don't have to give me details because I know you don't want to throw those type of details out. But I'm just saying, has there ever been a time that you get to the location, you're ready to play, but once you get to, you're like, you know what, I don't want to play here, like,
Yeah, to be very honest, I think what people don't understand that people see that they've seen this on TV, they've seen this on YouTube, they've seen this on BET, they've seen this on TBN, they've seen this all over the place. And what people don't understand is that at the end of the day, what we're doing is ministry.
Yeah.
And ministry is not about always wanting to do it. It's always to be ready in time, out of season and in season. Right. And what people don't understand is that when you're ready to minister and you don't want to, is when you need to. Because at that time when you don't want to do it is when you find out that the Lord ministers back to you in the experience of ministry.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. We've had things happen, you know. We've had situations where we got bad
we were living
checks,
life on the road.
Bad checks, you know. We had one experience that somewhere out in Texas somewhere that Cuso remembers that it was one of the worst experiences of our lives. You know, we got terrible, but we made it through, man. We made it through.
Yeah.
We played events that we got bad checks. We never got paid for them. You know, things happened to us like that along the way, but many better times than worse times, you know.
Orlando's connecting right now.
And the thing is that you have to understand, and the thing, what I want you to understand is that what people that want to do this, you know, that the people that want to do this, they have to understand that at the end of the day, it's about glorifying God. It's about God getting the glory. It's about God being uplifted in everything that we do. It has nothing to do with us performing who we with, because we've been with everybody. The Trio de Hoy, we've been blessed to be literally almost with everybody that is out there.
Now, I've been a band leader and had my own band with my brother, and we've played in places. And I know this happens with bands. So the next question I'm gonna ask, and Cuso or anybody can answer really, have you ever made mistakes? Now, the people listening to you don't know those mistakes are happening, but you guys know they're happening while you're missing. You know,
we forgot the lyrics in one song.
You forgot the lyrics in what song?
Well, one song. And for my part, we're trio, so we sing either in spots or we sing together. And in one of my spots, I'm like, it was La Historia during Christmas, and Hermosos. And then Jesse came out, regalos, and they'll, we always jump in.
Well, we help each other out.
Y les fueron a Dora, Jay was coming. Esas Navidad. That it was just one of those. You got to remember when you're singing these songs, you know, just to give you an idea, the trio, in the height of the trio, we did 285 bookings in like 10 months.
Wow.
That's singing 3 weeks out of the month. Okay, that's singing 3 weeks out of the month.
Yeah.
So when you're singing that much, at the end of the day, it's like, man, you know, okay, you know.
You could practically do it in your sleep, basically.
Yeah, and the thing is that people want to hear it. It's not like, you know, you don't have a choice. People want to hear it.
Cuso, I know that you already took way past your time, and I know you said you only had 10 or 15 minutes, but you've given us about a half hour. Orlando's here.
No, good. I want you guys to have enough. Yeah.
I love you, bro.
I love you guys.
If you have to go, we understand. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for everything.
And everything you told us.
Thank you so much for everything. And hey, just for everyone, you know, check out Voss's website. Our music is there. Believe me, it will be a blessing to your life. I totally promote it. Wherever anybody asks me, this is where you can go get the music. We want them to know that we're working on new stuff. We're already booked in August in California. We're going to be in the Washington, D.C., Maryland area in October. Right. We have a lot of other things coming down the pike. Just look on Facebook, Facebook, and you can find out everything that we're going to be doing. And we look forward to seeing you at a city near you. We love you. God bless you. And Trio de Hoy, you know I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
All right. So, Vas,
take it easy, guys. Thank you.
Now the drummer of El Trio de Hoy is here. You can say hi to Truck.
Hey, Truck.
And Freddie's there too.
Freddie's here too, yeah.
Fred's too, yeah.
Now, I heard something. Cuso told me something that I didn't know until just recently, like a couple of minutes ago. He told me that you used to sing with the trio.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I used to sing in church.
And I did not notice. I was totally flabbergasted by that. I mean, you're an awesome percussionist and a wonderful drummer, but I didn't know that you also sang. Like that came out of left field.
Nah, man. You know what? You remember those Pate Especiales, bro?
Oh, the partes especiales.
That's all I used to do, bro. Una parte especial. Hermano Orlando González, una parte especial.
That's it? Oh,
That's
come
it,
on.
bro.
I got the impression there was something else going on there. Now Kuzo told me that he played what did he say? Violin.
He played violin first, he said, yeah.
Yeah, and then he says he also played guitar, he also played drums, and he played, he dabbled with bass a little bit. Is there any other instrument that you play, Orlando, besides drums?
Well,
The pan flute.
He play
The pan flute.
The pan flute.
No, I started with the congas when I was younger.
Okay.
But then I was getting frustrated because nobody could hear the congas. That's why I went to the drums. I was busting my hands and
I feel your experience because I'm a conguero in a Spanish
Yeah.
church that had rugs and forget
Yeah.
it. It was horrible
Yeah.
for congueros. But yeah, go ahead. Okay.
No, so I went to the drums, but now I love playing the cajon, man. I play the cajon, and I enjoy it. Not as much as the drums, but very close. I think when you mic that up and now with all the additions that come with it, it's almost like a drum set. It's just portable. It's great. It sounds fantastic.
Did you ever dabble with like timbales or anything like that? Any other
A little bit
instruments?
here and there, but nothing serious. Just like I said, like maybe in churches. I mean, in our church before when there was a drummer, and then the timbales were there looking at me. I would get on those for a little while, but mainly drums and the congas and the cajon. A little bit of bongos, but if you can believe this or not, Jesse plays better bongos than me.
Really?
Yeah.
When he's back in my
Wow.
house, because sometimes he comes and stays in my house, I have
Yeah.
a pair of bongos. I'm gonna check him out. I'm gonna see
Yeah.
where he
All
can throw.
right.
I'll get on the congas and I'll give him the bongos and we could throw down
Well,
in my house.
put him to the test.
Yeah,
He'll
yeah.
hold it- he'll hold it
Fred,
for a little bit,
Freddie,
but
what
Yes,
do
sir.
what instruments you play? Because
A little bit,
everybody always sees you singing, but I know you play instruments too.
a little bit of guitar, a little bit of bass, and maracas off time.
Maracas. Don't tell me they
No,
had you.
because-
Don't tell
no,
me
I-
they
I-
had you in the corner in rehearsal with the triangle, and say every time we point at you, you just go bing.
No, it's difficult to focus on sometimes on the high notes like agua, and agua was when we first started with the trio, it was just two guitars and maracas. So we really needed to play those maracas because there was no percussion. So, but it's such a high energy song, and it's a high song to sing. So sometimes you get too focused on the singing, and you got to really focus on your timing too. So it's for me, I would rather either just play them or just sing, and it'll be easier. But because then you can
Okay.
stay on time. But it's really for the glory of God, the guys play
Yeah.
so well. They play so well. I don't need to play. When we started with when I was 15, 16 or 14, I think 15. Kuz was 16. Jesse was 15. Kuz was 16.
Yeah.
Something like that. I played guitar in the trio, the first trio that we did when we met in doing prison.
When you were kids. Yeah,
We were
Kuzo
kids.
told us all about that history, how
Yeah.
you met in the prison and all that.
Yeah,
He
yeah,
even
yeah.
mentioned how you went to where was that place, Jesse, that he mentioned in Massachusetts where the white guy
Yeah.
came up to you guys at the
Yeah,
end
we
of the
were in
service?
Marlboro. We were in
Mar-
Marlboro, and at the end of the
uh-huh.
service, the guy came up to us. He came to the Lord in when we were at
When you guys
ministering.
were in prison, and then
Yeah,
years
prison
later,
ministry, yeah.
and then he
Yeah.
sees you in his church, and he
in the
came
church.
up to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That was an
It is-
awesome
we have
testimony.
many experiences like
and when
that.
we started there, I used to play some guitar, and Jesse would play bass, and the first trio, and Orlando would play the percussion.
Yeah.
That's way back in 79, 80, long time
You,
ago.
you know,
But
you know
then-
what, man? The thing about our ministry, we became such a close knit, like we're brothers. I mean, and now Fred's pastoring out in New Jersey now, and
Right.
all of us are doing ministry in some way. But those times helped us to become who we are. All those times and all the the things that we did when we were kids. And thank God for our parents who really instructed us and taught us to love God and love ministry. So we still love ministry today. Freddie could tell you, we have given a lot away too. I like to testify about the time that Fred, how much was it that we raised in Guatemala when we did the orphanage, right?
Well, it's about American dollars was about 66,000, but it was
Yes.
230,000 quetzales
Right.
back then. So you divide it by 8, and then whatever that is, that's what we
Yeah.
left there when we
Yeah.
did an event there in
Zacapa.
Zacapa. So you go there and it's only to give. It's
Yeah.
only to give. And the church that brought us, they
Well,
gave us an offering in the States.
definitely your ministry has left a mark, not only in different countries, different states, but in people's hearts. You know,
Mhm.
Amen.
there's people that love your music.
And
I watched the you know, the Spotify list, the people listening on Spotify and different places on the website of
Yeah.
our distribution, and I could see people listening from all different countries, not just US, you know.
Yeah.
But I asked Kuzo this, so I'm gonna ask Fred this, and I'm gonna ask Orlando and Jesse. What makes your music so unique, the sound?
Mm.
Well, one thing is our the way Jesse plays guitar. Jesse's unique in the chords that he uses. He's unique in how he produces. He has a special touch with the guitar that a lot of normal trios don't use a lot of his chords, and it gives us a unique sound as a trio and still traditional, you know, and also our voices, our voices too, the harmony of our voices. But Jesse's guitar playing is one of the unique things we have that keeps us very different than everybody else, and that's what I love the most about the trio, that we're different because we're a trio, but we're high energy and we love to have fun, and it doesn't have to be so old style. It could be
so antigua is basically.
it doesn't have to be so old style. It could be it could be a little modernized but still traditional, and I think our uniqueness and how Jesse plays helps a lot in that aspect of it. Makes us very unique. But he's a gifted guitar player, and Kuzo's speed. Kuzo has a lot of speed in the guitar too. He helps with his speed, and one thing he does have more than anything else is speed. Jesse, what he has the most is his unique chords, his progressions, his guitar, his the way he plays the guitar is it's beautiful. So
now your brother told me an interesting story, because I asked him, like, similar question about how you guys got your unique sound, etc. And he said, well, back in them days, I was asking what was the inspiration back when you guys were teenagers. He said, well, me and my brother were more the Bee Gees, and Jesse was more Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Just in Orlando, yeah.
Were more Earth, Wind, and Fire. So you were always saying, which is better, or Bee Gees or Earth, Wind, and Fire, and kind of blended those type of styles of music together. This is the story that Kuzo just finished telling me just before you came on. So I'm just interested to hear your perspective on that.
Well, what he says is true. We listen to the harmonies, in the Bee Gees, we listen to the harmonies and the falsetto, and be able to not strain your voice, but utilize the falsetto when you need it. Especially me as a first tenor. There's like algo en mi. We do a falsetto at the end, and we utilize it. We learn from others, that help us do it our own way, but not do it as often as they did. We just do it periodically. But also on one of our albums that we use a lot of some falsetto and some soft harmonies was Himnos de Ayer. If you hear that album, Himnos de Ayer album that the Gaithers put out, those harmonies, you can tell from that there's no straining on the voices. You don't hear nobody struggling. The voices are there's some falsetto parts, there's some soft high parts, and so you learn from the past, of what you hear in the past, and try to utilize it and master it. And also Earth, Wind, and Fire is really funky, beautiful voices, also high energy, and Jesse, he liked that group back then. What stuck with us was my parents would only buy us trio music at home, and we hated it.
Wow.
We hated trio music. I didn't like it, but that's what we had to listen to. So we started appreciating the music, and Elio Serrano and Trio Genesis and Lírico Misionero. We started appreciating their harmonies, appreciating the nice songs. They would sing some nice songs. So they got us interested in doing that because my parents liked that, and the church accepted that more than anything back then. Than more secular, than more contemporary gospel or contemporary Christian music.
Right,
like Jesse would listen to a lot of different styles.
Andre Crouch and the Imperials,
you know, a lot
the
of
Archers, you know, for that time. Yeah.
Yeah. So we listened to those groups too, and so they all give a little bit to us because we learn from all of them.
This is awesome because I spend a lot of time talking to Vaz, but Freddie and Cuso have been able to talk a lot tonight. So Orlando and I hardly don't have to say anything. These guys said everything, but we are a band. You know, we are a band that's very close knit. We believe God is not done with us yet. You know, we have something coming up, and our 25th year anniversary album that I am so proud to talk about. And thank you, Vaz, for allowing us to mention it. Because
that's what we're here for. That's what we're trying to do.
We're brothers, man. You know? Thank you. Yeah, we're brothers.
Our first CD came out in '96. And it's 25 years to the date, you know. It was 96 that was No Te Dejaré came out. And and it was For the Glory of God. Dame Bebeles Agua was the first one on the radio. Right. And that was the song we didn't want to do. The guys didn't want to do it.
Right.
Why didn't you want to do it?
Well, because at the time we thought it was so simple.
Only had three chords.
Through the whole thing, 3 chords. You know,
and you didn't want to do it because it was simple.
Didn't want to do it. Kusa didn't want to do it. I literally forced him in the studio.
Yeah,
I don't know how. I said let's
but
do
you know
it because
what?
we don't have the style.
Right.
We don't have that style. Let's just do it.
And still, and today it's probably the second most requested song, or third requested, because we've Se Puede is a #1 song that most people know, you know. And then we've got Algo en Mí, which is also a very popular song people love. And then Dame Bebeles Agua. I think those are the 3 main songs. Yeah. And then Momentos too.
Momentos, the African American and the white people love Momentos. Yeah. Because they love the style of, you know, and
don't forget
the other one you guys do, which I see pretty popular as far as listening. Mujer, I think it's Mujer Cristiana.
Yeah. Especially now for Mother's Day.
Yeah, that's a beautiful song. I wrote that for my mom, dedicated it to my mom. But you know, we just had Orlando. I just had the guys here. They just left, and it was great to spend time with them in the studio and hang out and, you know, grab a bite to eat and fellowship. And these songs that we're doing all have really nice messages. We picked a couple of oldies that we used to sing way back in the day, and they're coming out so nice, Vaz. I can't wait for you to hear them. And
you know, me and Jesse always sharing music back and forth. He's always sending me tracks for me to listen to, and I do some stuff sending to him. Because we appreciate. I know I appreciate it. I believe he appreciates good music. And I've always listened to you guys, you know, play, and I've gone to some with you guys a couple of times where you guys have ministered, and I've seen God use you in great ways, you know. I just want to know, Orlando, you're always in the background playing the drums. Everybody knows you're there because they hear your kick, they hear your snare, but you're not really in what they consider in the forefront, right? Because the 3 guys are there. But me as a percussionist, I appreciate you because I understand what you go through. But at the same time, is there ever like a time when you feel like, you know what, being that I just heard you sing, so is there ever a time that you want to say, you know what, I want to do a song, or I want to write a song, or whatever?
You know what? No, really, no. I'm very happy playing drums or percussion, cajon, congas, whatever I need to do. When it comes to talking up front, you know, I'm not as good as these guys are. Believe me. I don't know. Listen, one thing I used to always tell Jesse is, you know, he ministers so well, and I've been ministering with him pretty much my whole life since we were kids. Mm-hmm. And when we were out all those days, like Cuso said, and all these years we've been out, Jesse very, very rarely repeated anything. Everything that he was said, or everything that he said was used. He was used by God. And God used him not to only minister to the other people, but to minister to us too.
Right.
And that's what I enjoy. And there's no way I could never do anything like that.
I just wonder,
Imagine
you sitting in the background, hey man, I want to write a song, I want to, you never know. That might be, might be something for the future. You never know.
I want to say something. Orlando is a very quiet man, but he is also a father to many musicians as well. There's a lot of drummers who are great drummers today, and they look up. They were influenced by him. And as a matter of fact, Orlando used to sign in Sticks, the truck.
Yeah.
And we've got little kids that took pictures with him that now we see them and they've grown up and they play and they honor Truck. There's always a role that they do on a song. They're playing a song and all of a sudden they go, "Pra, pra," that's dedicated to Orlando. And they tell everybody, that's for Truck.
Yeah.
So
there is another member to the band that is not here. You guys want to say anything about Mr. Alex before? I don't want to just go ahead of you guys.
Go ahead, Truck.
Well, listen, I love playing with Mr. Bassman. He is so funky, and I just love to compliment him because he's so groovy.
He's out of this world. First day I saw him play, I was like blown away. But it's a shame, he's got to work, he's got stuff to do, so he couldn't be on with us today.
Right.
But so the for those people that don't know, the trio is Fred. You give me the names of the members and everything. The people that are gonna see this already saw Kuzo. So the main singers are. Go ahead, you take over and tell the band.
Well, I'm the one of the lead vocalists, Freddie Velez, right? And now I'm Pastor Freddie Velez, that I'm pastoring in New Jersey. But we have Jesse Gonzalez, is another second voice for the trio, and also lead vocal, and Cuso, Jesus Cuso Velez. And man, he also sings really well as well, and he's the third voice for the trio. And going back to Alex Moran, he's such a great blessing, and we've known him for so many years, and he always wanted to play with Jesse when he was younger, because before the trio was Jesse had the Gonzalez brothers, and he always wanted to play with us. And for the glory of God, he made that decision one time to come play with us in New York, and he never looked back.
Praise God.
And, for the glory of God, it's a great story, a great story. But he's also a very gifted, very humble musician. People don't know he's pretty humble, but they see him out there and they think he's very flamboyant, and he's very very gifted, but he's also could be a humble guy. And and when you hear his seminars, when he does seminars, bass seminars and bass classes, you can tell then how he learned and how he really worked hard on his own. He gave up baseball in high school. He gave up sports to dedicate to music.
Wow.
People don't know the sacrifices he made when he was younger. He wanted to play baseball. He wanted to be a second baseman. He was very good at it too, but he sacrificed to play, and went to a lot of clinics. He went to a lot of clinics of very famous bass players, and he went to a lot of clinics, and he got a lot of videos back then, videos that they sell back in the 80s, and he would invest time. He would work hard, invest time, and learn from the very best, and then work at it at home, like the triplets and tapping and all that. And but he gave up a lot, and he sacrificed a lot of time, and became a great.
So Kuzo was saying earlier, you guys were mostly self-taught. You didn't really go to like a music school of anyone. Did any of you go to music school?
No,
just basic lessons.
Music class from regular school, right? Yeah.
Basic music class.
Yeah. What about for singing, Fred or Jesse?
No, I didn't go. I didn't take any vocal lessons, but I had to learn. How to harness and how to protect my vocal cords when I was singing full time every single day. For example, a singer, my doctor would tell me, don't have coffee, don't be having milk, drink decaffeinated tea, no sugar. Sleep 8 hours every day. Have your body recover. Sleep 8 hours and drink a lot of fluid. Drink water all day. Have your body full of fluids so your vocal cords will not be dry, right? Sleep 8 hours a day and drink decaffeinated tea. And what I did was I listened. The guys, after they would do concerts, they would go out to a restaurant or they would go out to bowling or something like that. I would go to the hotel and I would sleep. I would sleep because I said, tomorrow we got another concert. I got to make sure I recover. My body recovers. My vocal cords recover so I can hit those notes tomorrow. You know, so you got to recover and you got to take care of what you got as a singer. So I recommend those that are listening that want to be singers, if you go full-time in music and you're singing 5 times in a weekend, Friday, Saturday, and 3 times on Sunday, you really got to rest. You have to have decaffeinated tea and you have to drink a lot of water and also eat well too. Have a good breakfast. You need energy.
Don't be eating all that cuchifrito stuff. You know.
No, don't eat too much at night, but get good night's sleep and rest. You know, so people, they don't know why they get so hoarse and they use your diaphragm when you're singing. Do good breathing techniques as well. You know, so that's another very important thing that I had to learn the hard way.
Okay, so let me ask you all, and this is for all of you and Jesse too. Let's say, you know, because I get some young viewers that come on here and they're young musicians. They're just starting out in church. Some of them ask, you know, ministry questions as well as music questions, right? What would be something if you met yourself? Let's say you now, with all the experience you had, you met yourself when you were younger.
Yeah.
You first started out. What would you tell yourself?
Wow. The very first thing I would say is honor God always, honor your family, and to remember that, you know, to give God the glory always, you know, whatever happens and as you grow, as God continues to bless you, it's not because of your own gift, because your own, you know, it's your own doing. It's God using you. It's for His glory. So I'm just really elated that after all these years, we're still the brothers that we are, you know. And it's one of the things also to honor the people that you're working with. You know, none of us can make it alone. You know, but we have to be team players. You know, we have to be team players and have to. One of the reasons why Orlando's so important to our ministry is because, you know, even if people don't know that, but he's the backbone of our ministry. He's the backbone of our ministry because he's a man of integrity and a man of prayer. And just people don't know that about him, but he's a man that, you know, nobody can ever point their finger at him. You know,
and he's got a heck of a kick.
And he's got a heck of a kick. Yeah.
Another thing that's very important, I want to add that if you're going to go into full-time ministry, if you really want to do it, you see, God is calling me to ministry. If you're married, your wife has to be supportive of that. You know, if you're married, she has to understand you have a gift and understand you have a ministry and you want to give some time of yourself to the Lord, because sometimes it'll take you away from home. Like we would go to California for a whole month back in the day, or 3 weeks out of the month, because we were in San Diego, we would be in Sacramento, we would be in Anaheim, we'll be in LA, you know, you would be in San Francisco. We've done so many different places out there. We'd be in Fresno, and then we would go. You know, it's a long road. So many times when you're away from home, you have to have the support from your family and your children. If you have children or you have a wife and you're trying to go full-time ministry, remember she's got to be on board and understanding that you're doing this for the Lord, and God has opened the door, and you're gonna do, you know, and you're gonna sacrifice her time and your church's time to do the what the Lord has called you to do. So you got to be on the same page on that aspect. I was very grateful and very fortunate that my wife knew I was a singer way before she knew me. We were singing in the trio. I was singing with the Gonzalez brothers way before we were married. So she knew my life already prior to what I was doing. So that helps a lot when you're already doing something that you're gonna go by faith, and give that gift to God 100% and quit your job and trust in the Lord. But another thing that happened before I went full-time ministry, I coordinated a full year of bookings before we went full-time. So I know that we were going to be financially secure. So I know my mortgage will be paid that month because we have enough events that my mortgage is going to be covered, my cars are going to be paid, and my bills at home will be covered. So I was a year in advance with bookings prior to go full-time. We were doing it part-time because we were working. But then when that was in 1995 we started. 96 came out the first CD, 97 another CD, in 98, and in May of 99 we went full-time. After having several CDs and after having a lot of invitations, now we were ready to go full-time. Right. And we were ready to sacrifice what we have for the Lord. You have to use wisdom, and you have to have the support of your wife and family. If you're married, if you're not married, you're probably, all you need is the Lord on your side, staying faithful to God and doing his will. But if you're married, it's a different ballgame. You got to be in the same page so it can work out. For the glory of God, it worked out for us. Now we're pastors. We were associate pastors, now we're pastors. And I still go out to sing. If we have a special invitation, we will go. We will do it. We don't go out a month at a time anymore, but on special events, we definitely will do it. On conventions, congresses, men's retreats, stuff that are Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we'll do it. And some Sundays we can do as well. But you have to be now I have the church. I have my leaders at church know what I'm doing because I'm a pastor now. And so you have to be in agreement with your spouse, in agreement with your church or with your pastor, and he should know what you're doing. And we went to a church one time, and the pastor said, "Who's your pastor?" I said, "My pastor is Lisandro Rodas." He says, "What's his phone number?" He called him. He wanted to make sure we're from a church, we're not charlatanes, because he had a bad experience. So he called our pastors to find out what church we're members of.
See if you were real. Yeah.
To see if we were not real. To see if we were have a good reputation. If we're faithful members of the church. And this pastor called our pastor, and you might get that once in a while, But it's good to always honor God first with what you have, and be in accordance with your family as well.
Yeah. Hey, Fred. The other thing was we talked about a lot of things about all the places we traveled. One of the things that we didn't talk about earlier, besides the TD Jakes things that we did, Bishop Eddie Long, some of those big things that we did, but we also played the White House several times. Yes. That was also a very prestigious and a wonderful event that
the National Hispanic Prayer Breakfast. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so we've done some of those things. And you know what now, keep us in your prayers, guys, as you listen to this interview. None of our lives are perfect, but we love the Lord and we're striving to get better. And so we're happy to be here tonight. Vas, I want to thank you for, taking this time to, the guys surprised me. They showed up. I'm so happy. Alex could make it, but you got Cuso, Fred, and you got Truck.
I got more than 80% of the people here.
That's right. Thank you.
Which I really appreciate you guys taking time out to be on here.
Thank you.
If there's one last thing you guys want to say before we close, or whatever, I do want to ask this one last question about the 25th anniversary album. I know you guys in the middle of recording that, right? And Jesse was saying earlier how the songs are coming out beautiful and everything. It's been 25 years, right? So,
since the first CD,
right? So what do you feel about that? Like, can you believe it's been 25 years? Like, what's your feelings on that?
I'll go first.
Go first, Jesse.
I'll go first because first of all, how many groups stay that long? How many singers have that kind of career? I'm very fortunate. The Gonzalez Brothers did 20 years, and then now I got the trio for 25. So, I'm going to be 60 years old this October, and most of my life I've been in a band, and Orlando's been with me the whole way. Freddie's been with me the whole way. So, I feel very blessed, and I'm not saying that it's been because this has some challenges, but we've seen the Lord move on our behalf in so many ways and given us favor. And so this 25th year anniversary thing, kind of was born when we went to in January. We went to my father's funeral celebration when my dad passed away, and Kuso and Fred came and showed
Memorial
up.
service.
My memorial service, and they showed up, and we just started talking, and we just felt like we still have a few songs to sing. And even though Freddie's pastoring, Kuso's very busy in California, but we're all going to take a little bit of time, and we're going to make our time count when we have once a month or whatever happens. Whatever, we're going to put it in the Lord's hands. I'm very involved in the church that I go to now here in Michigan. Orlando's very involved in his church. Kuso's all involved. Alex is involved. We're all involved in what we're doing.
You're all in ministry, basically. Yeah.
We're all in ministry. Yeah. So that's what I would say. I'd say, we feel like we still have a song to sing, and we still have lives to touch and, minister some. So praise God for that.
Orlando?
I consider it an honor, a privilege. We're worshipers, and God has chosen us to be able to continue to do this for as long as He wants us to do it. I'm working full time. I work for the hotel business, and the minute the guys give me a date, I tell management, and they're more than okay with me leaving. They know I was in full time ministry before. They know, what I do and what I did, and I'm still doing it. And I'm just grateful to God that He continues to choose us to do this. And you were talking about one thing you guys don't know about me. Jesse talking about I'm so involved in my church. I am involved in. I go to a small church in Rhode Island, about 100 people, and I love it. I love it there. That's where God has me, and I'm very grateful. Obviously, yeah, I'm the drummer there, but I also I teach elementary and junior high students, and I really enjoy that. So God is using us in different ways that I never thought I would be a teacher, but God is using me with the children, and I make it fun. I make the class fun, and we have a good time. But like I said, God has chosen us to continue to do this, and for as long as He wants us to do it, as long as we stay faithful and just give God our all, and do the best we can for Him, He'll continue to bless us.
Wow. Fred?
Amen. I'm grateful that we're still together, and the devil has tried many things to destroy the trio. When you have a ministry that honors God, the devil will put everything in his power to destroy it, especially worshipers. The devil does not want you to worship. He will do anything so you do not worship God. And that's, I guess, one of the things he hates the most is your worship. So when you continue to do it, you're going to have challenges. You're going to have a lot of trials, and you're going to go through a lot, and you're going to want to give up. When I was singing in front of tens of thousands with TD Jakes and TBN in different events that we did, I had two boys, teenagers, that were addicted to opiates, and they were in and out of rehab. And I said, Lord, I don't want to sing. I didn't have the desire to sing. I need to be helping my kids, and they went to different rehabs and blah blah blah. But my wife was there, my pastor was my father-in-law, who was my pastor, was there with them. And I said, Lord, I don't want to sing. And sometimes you're not going to want to sing. And it can be in front that event that one of the biggest events was at the Georgia Dome in front of 80,000. And I said, Lord, all these beautiful people are singing, and now it's our turn. And I don't want to be here. I want to go home. You're gonna get to those points because there are gonna be trials in your life. There are gonna be situations where you don't want to sing. But you know what I said? I said, Lord, I'm gonna sing for my son. I don't want to sing, but I'm gonna sing for my son. I'm gonna sing for my two sons. And I'm gonna give you the glory, not knowing that you're in control. I'm not. And both of my sons are free from addiction.
Praise
both
God.
of them have their own houses. Both of them making very good money, and God has delivered them. God has delivered them because I stayed faithful. And I did not stop worshiping God. I did not stop honoring my church. I did not stop honoring my wife. Because because the devil he uses the children to destroy your family. He uses the children, he goes from the inside out. He works from the inside to destroy. Even the church, the inside from the church to destroy the church.
Yeah.
He's a great strategist, but he's a liar, and he's already defeated.
Yeah.
But we have to stand strong in God. I was telling a lady today, she was feeling fear at home, and I read Psalms 23. The Lord, you should not want anything, and He will give you peace. You know, read Psalms 23, but don't just read it, believe it. It's David's testimony. Believe it. You know, and everybody knows it, but they don't believe it. And you have to, once you start believing and living the righteous life, because David said this and believed it because he had a relationship with God. And so even though he was going through a lot, because his sons, he had difficult situations in his life, you know, but he trusts God in the battles that he had. He trusts God even with the situations with his sons.
Now, you know? I know we don't have the full trio here because Kuzo's not here, Alex is not here. But we're about to end this interview, but I would like if Jesse could, I know he's been fiddling with his guitar there. I've been watching him. If you guys could maybe just sing, you know, something really quick. It doesn't have to be a full song. It could be just a couple of verses or whatever you guys feel like you want to do.
I don't know if there's going to be a time difference, but I don't know if Freddie can sing a little bit of Algo en mí necesita de Dios.
Algo en mí necesita su amor. Algo en mí necesita acercarse a él, a velar con él, oír su voz. Corazón, a velar con él, oír su voz, sentirlo en mi corazón.
Algo en mí necesita de Dios. Algo en mí necesita su amor.
Thank you guys. I know there's a little lag in time.
Yeah, there is.
But
it's okay.
It's okay. I think it came out okay. And I really appreciate you guys taking the time out of your day to come on here for this small interview. It's being recorded right now. I'm going to post it in the beginning, later on the week.
Okay.
But I just want to, you know, congratulate you guys on 25 years. And I know God has bigger and better things for you guys. And, you know, I love you guys. And God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you guys.
Thank you, bro. God bless you.
God bless you all. Bye-bye.
I spend the time with you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, yeah. Genesis 1 tells me something true. I'm created by God and so are you. I've got a purpose and a destiny. God has a plan for you and me. Genesis 1 tells me something true. I'm created by God and so are you. I've got a purpose and a destiny. God has a plan for you and me. I'm not an